So that's why I added those guidelines. See, you could already see the layers. So you have this layer, then you have the layer below. Like I said, at the end, with a thicker stylus, you can come in and add thicker hairs. See? Like individual hairs that come in and just randomly add them all over the place. You could go even further, and then at the end of these thicker lines, extend the tip with a thinner stylus, just to give the illusion of a thicker hair getting thinner. Again, all these little details come from like drawing things and understanding hair. Like I mentioned earlier, this step takes a long time for my drawings. Usually, I've done drawings that measure like 3 feet by 4 feet, and it's taken me almost a week and a half just to indent the hair. Like it looks like I'm not doing anything, but if you look up close, you'll see all these like little lines. And this is time consuming. It is. I'm not gonna lie. It is time consuming, but I think it's worth it. But one thing I want you all to understand is that this is not the only way to draw hair. This is my way. This is how I draw it. And this way might not work for everyone. You might not like the way it looks. So this is not for everyone. But what I want you guys to get from this is just to understand and to understand that there's different techniques out there for drawing hair. Like there's not only one way. And hopefully it does work for you. But if it doesn't, then at least you learn something new. Like I'm not a professional teacher, like I'm not an art teacher or anything like that. Like I'm a self-taught artist. So everything that you're seeing, like I've learned myself through trial and error, and especially this technique. This technique, I first started using it just for the whiskers. But that was like years ago. I was drawing a tiger, and I thought to make it easier to draw the whiskers, I indented the whiskers. And the drawing turned out nice. But then at the end of the drawing, I thought, you know what, if it works for the whiskers, why shouldn't it work for all the hair? So since then I've been developing, trying different ways, trying different stylists, tips. This is the thinnest one I have, then this one, and then I have this one. This right here, this is just an audio plug that I've attached to this, and this is great for drawing like thick whiskers. Again, I'm always looking for different tools to use, and I've used a lot of different things. Okay, so we've gotten to the end of here, so then I'm going to go back and start the next layer, the next layer above. Again, depending on the look that you're going for, you could keep these lines like really tight. Just don't make them too spread out. Like don't keep there shouldn't be a lot of space between the indentations, because it's just not gonna look right. Like the tighter they are, the better, because it just gives the hair a thicker look. And I suggest indenting from the top down. Like, I don't suggest you indent going up instead of going down. I find that that's an easier way. I don't know, for some reason going up, I tend to rip through the paper. So going down makes it much easier. But it also helps that the tip is a bit dull. So when you first put in the needle, it's best to grind it down with some sandpaper, so it's a bit dull. Okay, we're about to get to the first black spot. Okay, so we have this black spot here, right? So like I said, the layer continues through the black spot. But it looks like it's a different type of hair because it's black, right? So what I like to add is just a couple of like quick random indentations. So these, what I'm suggesting here is that these hairs are being hit by light, right? Even though they're black, they're reflecting light, so they stand out. And I'm not pressing that hard, I'm just like lightly going, lightly indenting. And then we get to the lighter hair. So here we continue with the indentations. See, here we could have some hair that overlaps the black hair here. Again, it's important just to keep these lines random. Don't make them going straight down because it's not going to look right. Okay, same here. We're going to continue through the black and just add a couple of black hairs here, and then we'll continue on the lighter side. Because you'll also have hairs that come up and then curl up, right? You could add these at the end, but having these, it just gives the hair much more depth. So you could have that, and then you can make the tip a bit thicker, just to give the illusion that the hair is growing up. See, guys, you could have fun with this, but the more you try it, the more you practice it, the easier it's gonna become. So this is not, I'm not going crazy just scratching all over the place. It's like a planned, and the more you understand the hair, the easier it's gonna become. The reason why I'm not posting a reference image is because I want you guys to see me do it, so you guys understand it, and then I'll talk you through it, and then you can try with like a picture with a reference, with some reference. Okay, finish that side. Let's go back to the other side. See, I know that some animals have straight hair, but even on those animal drawings, I like to make the hair curve a bit. I love texture, and the more the hair curves, the more texture it's gonna have once I start adding pencil. hardest hair that people have a problem drawing from an animal is a lion's mane. And after this one, I'll do that. I'll do a tutorial on that, showing you how to draw it. Again, using the same technique, except that it's just a different way of indenting. So as you can see, it's gonna take a while before we finish all this, right? Another thing to keep in mind is that hair clumps together. Like, hair doesn't always grow individually. You have individual hairs, but usually hair is clumped up, like it's grouped together. And keeping that in mind, it helps a lot, because once you start adding pencil, you can bring out those clumps of hairs. Okay, again, we'll get to the black hair, add a couple of highlights. I like to call these highlights because that's what they are. Black hair is just reflecting light. Okay, you come here, and then these hairs, this section right here, these are lighter hairs, so we're gonna make them overlap the black hair. We're gonna make these a bit longer. Let's see. Again, we're gonna add a couple of highlights here. See, for this section, down the middle, the hair grows down. On the left side, it curves to the left, and on the right side, it curves to the right. So you could have hair that grows like this, and hair that grows like this. You have a straight hair. You could have wavy hair, and then you just combine them. Okay, I'm doing this whole section right here, this middle section. And the reason why we start from the bottom up is because it makes sense doing it that way. Because if we start from the top, if we start indenting from the top down, look, I'll show you. Okay, let's say we start indenting here. And then we start indenting here. These hairs are going to be above these ones, so it suggests that the hair is growing this way. Doing it this way, starting from the bottom up, the hair at the bottom, it suggests that this hair is growing down, and then the hair above it is growing down, and the hair above is growing down. So there is a difference from where you start indenting. It does make a difference. Hopefully I'm making sense and you guys understand, but if not, you could just comment below and I'll try to help you there. I know that for most of you this is something new. You probably have never seen this before, or if you have, Hopefully I'm making sense. But if it is helpful, like I would appreciate like the shares, the likes, comments, and subscribe if you want to see more. That's it. That's what I'm going by. The response that I get from these videos. If I get a positive response, then I'll make a lot more of these. Okay, so we got to the top. So we have this middle section done. So we'll just continue on this layer. This one here. Topmost layer. So what you could also do is have one line, and then from that single line have a couple more hairs grow out of there. And then just keep doing that. Basically, you're trying to imitate hair. I always tell people that it's impossible to draw hair, because for you to draw hair, you need to draw every single hair. This technique, you're basically giving the illusion of hair through shadows and highlights. So every indentation that I make represents a single hair or a clump of hair. So you're trying to imitate the hair. Basically fooling the eye into thinking that it looks like hair. So we finished that side, so let's go back to this side. Again, if you notice, we're still following the guidelines, the hair flow. So it's going in this direction. See, like I said, in the end, we could also go back in and add thicker hairs with a thicker stylus. Okay, finish that side. Let's go back to this side. And again, we're just going layer by layer. See, having the light helps because it helps me see that everything is not, that the lines are not, they don't look static. Like I want them to look like hair. Again, keep in mind that hair overlaps. Some hair curves, some hair is shorter, some is longer, some is thicker, some is thinner. And the thickness just depends on how hard you press the stylus on the paper. If you want really thin, you barely scratch or barely indent. Just don't press too hard or else it's gonna go through, obviously, right? So I gotta make sure to keep the lines, the indentations tight.